Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
At the edge of the great Thar desert in western India live a people called the Bishnoi. The Bishnoi are members of a Hindu sect who believe it is their duty to protect nature in all her forms, trees, animals, even the wildlife around them. For over 5 centuries, this community has collectively affirmed the sacredness of all life. Their dedication has created many fertile islands amid the dry sands of their home. To find out more about the Bishnoi, we spoke with Air Commodore Rajendra Singh, a Bishnoi himself. He told us of a remarkable incident.
I am standing in a village called Khejri near Jodhpur. In the year 1730, a grove of trees grew here. That year, some woodmen came to cut them. The local Bishnois would not let them. They said, "We will hug these trees. You must kill us if you wish to cut them." The woodmen proceeded to do that. By the end, hundreds of Bishnoi men and women lay dead. This is the spot where most of them were killed. As you see, not a speck of green grows here. Perhaps this is the way nature has chosen to remember the sacrifice of her children. Droughts and famines are common occurrences in the desert. All people here appreciate the fragile nature of the ecosystem. But for the Bishnoi, there is an inherent sacredness in trees, animals. Their faith enjoins them to conserve all forms of life.
500 years ago, the founder of the Bishnoi faith, a wandering bard named Jambaji, taught a way of life based on 29 rules or tenets. At least 4 of these tenets are based on principles of natural conservation. In order to be a true Bishnoi, they say, it is necessary to be compassionate to all living beings, to prevent the slaughter of animals, to filter water before drinking it, and to never cut or even damage a living tree.
Among the various manifestations of nature, trees like this one, known as the Khejri, are objects of special reverence. In this area, the black buck and the gazelle move around freely in villages and in fields. Around Bishnoi temples, there are sanctuaries where wild birds and animals are fed every day. I'd like to share with you a system of conservation that has prevailed here for many hundreds of years.
Around Bishnoi villages, black buck and gazelle seem to feel perfectly at home because they've learnt that nobody will harm them. In fact, these village areas function as virtual sanctuaries, looked after by the local panchayat. Significantly, 3 kinds of areas are specially protected: catchments of village ponds, grazing areas, and the groves around temples known as orans. As at other Bishnoi temples, here at Lohawat in Jodhpur district, a priest feeds these wild animals every morning, except during the rainy season. Then there is usually enough natural vegetation for them to eat. Grain for this daily feeding is donated by local Bishnoi families. Fines for major transgressions, such as cutting trees or hunting animals, are also levied in grain. So sure are the animals of their safety that they will eat out of human hands without hesitation. Another tenet of the Bishnoi code, literally interpreted, says green living trees should not be wounded with a metal blade. Certain trees, like these Prosopis cineraria at Rotu in Nagaur district, are given special protection. Commonly known as the Khejri, this tree is a valuable source of fodder, particularly in years of drought. The enormous taproot system of the Khejri tree can go over 30 meters deep, loosening the soil and providing it with valuable nitrogen. Scientific research has shown that the moisture from Khejri trees makes such fields more productive than bare treeless lands. Farmers of all communities recognize this and let them stand, even when they grow in the middle of their fields. Most important, where groves of such trees exist, they can act as windbreaks, preventing the march of the desert. Due to the efforts of Bishnois, as well as other people, the number of these trees in western Rajasthan has gone up dramatically in recent years. In 1987, India faced the harshest drought in living memory. In western Rajasthan, the rains failed for the 5th successive year. Baking under the relentless summer sun, the earth gave up all its moisture. Almost overnight, the signs of desertification appeared upon the land. Crops withered, grass disappeared, leaving little nourishment. Ponds and wells dried up. Even drinking water became perilously scarce. Intent on survival, both animals and humans attacked the remaining trees. Although famine may have been prevented by the action of government and voluntary agencies, by the end of the year, over 1 million cattle faced starvation in West Rajasthan alone. In Bishnoi areas, conservation practices were weakened, but fortunately not completely ignored. Trees were still protected and catchments left undisturbed. Because of this, there was a little more water in these ponds, water which made all the difference. Another of Jambaji's tenets says water must be filtered before drinking. Bishnois use a small cloth to remove insects and dirt from the water. This simple, ancient method saves the small insects and reduces the spread of waterborne disease.
तेरा हम जान बात कर बटो ये तो मोड़ो करकड़ियो गया पे नीर नहीं करनी कोई काम का ढंग है कि हैं पहले को मोड़ो कर दियो ये तो मोड़ो करने को पार है
Khejri and Bhagirath are a Bishnoi couple who live in Khejri, a village near Jodhpur. For them, the drought of 87 meant subsistence on grain harvested over 4 years ago. This year, the only other kind of food available is the pods of the Khejri tree. Khejri cooks them into a dish called sangri. The sale of milk used to be an alternative source of income for the family, but this year, fodder for the cattle has become more difficult to obtain with each passing day. In the end, like other families, they turn out their livestock to fend for itself. The withered remains of the crop provide some food for the cattle, but even this does not last long. Milk for the family must now be borrowed from Bhagirath's brother, Biram, who lives close by. Fuel for cooking comes from the dry twigs of the Prosopis juliflora bushes around Chairi's home. She will not use a metal blade, nor break the green living tissues of the plant, for either action would wound the tree in her eyes. It was this immense concern for trees that led the men and women of Khejri to hug their trees in protection in the very first Chipko Andolan in history, 258 years ago. Gura Bishnoia, a village near Khejri, a Bishnoi wedding is taking place. While at the wedding, Bishnoi elders began discussing reports that Khejri trees were being felled in the vicinity. An elder from a nearby village read out a list of measures his village had instituted to control a similar trend in their area. One of the measures was the imposition of heavy fines for both past and future offenders.
ग्राम की बैठक में सर्व समिति से ये निश्चित किया गया कि हरी खेजड़ी आज से पहले जो काटी है उस पर 25 रुपए का जुर्माना लाई गांव वालों की तरफ से किया जा रहा है। ये लाई प्रति गोड पर होगी। नंबर 5, आज ग्रामवासियों ने यह भी निश्चित किया गया कि आज से कोई भी व्यक्ति हरी खेजड़ी नहीं काटे। अगर यह लिखित होने के बाद कोई भी व्यक्ति जानबूझकर खेजड़ी काटेंगे उस पर 251 रुपये जुर्माना लिया जाएगा, जो कि खेजड़ी की पूरी कीमत की होगी। नंबर 6, यह भी बैठक में तय किया गया कि सभी ग्रामवासी हरी खेजड़ी की रक्षा हेतु ध्यान रखेंगे। कोई व्यक्ति खेजड़ी काटता देखा गया तो उसको जाकर उसी वक्त रोकेंगे और इसकी इतला ग्रामवासियों को देंगे। ग्रामवासी उसी समय इकट्ठा होकर उसकी कार्रवाई करेंगे। नंबर 7, यह भी बैठक में इकरार किया गया कि किसी व्यक्ति को हरी खेजड़ी काटते देखा है और उसकी सूचना ग्राम में आकर नहीं दी तो वह भी ग्राम की ओर से दोषी होगा। उपरोक्त इकरारनामा सभी ग्रामवासियों को पढ़कर सुनाया गया। उसको मंजूर कर ग्रामवासियों ने अपने अपने हस्ताक्षर किए।
The meeting also reiterated the duty of all faithful Bishnois to report such offences and refuse to cooperate in the transport of timber. The villagers of Gura finally agreed that similar action was needed in their village as well.
क्योंकि हरी खेजड़ी है जगह प्रकृति की सुंदरता है।
लिखा पढ़ी नहीं सा धर्म की बात पहली आवे गए। हाँ पहली बात धर्म की, धर्म के बारे जाम्बे जी बेमुख हुए, इन बात में सबसे मोटी बात है। एंड धर्मोपति बात कौन भाई, जाम्बे जी बेमुख हुए तो वो जाने जाम्बू जाने, आई तो बात है।
The religion which Jambuji founded includes both worship and service. By his own example, he instituted a system by which his followers could find practical ways for working for common good. The places which he visited are especially sacred to his followers. I am standing at one such place called Jamba. Here, in this sparse area, which receives just a few centimeters of rainfall annually, Jambaji and his followers dug this large lake known as Jambasa. Today is the day of fair at Jamba, and Bishnois have come here from all over. This year, the fair is very, very thinly attended due to the drought conditions. Normally, the Bishnois come here in very large numbers and undertake repair and desilting of this tank. Jambaji has said, "Pehle kriya aap kamaye, to aur unnu farmaiye." That is to say, whatever you ask others to do, do it yourself first. So, for 500 years, the Bishnois have come here in large numbers and carried out repairs and desilting of this tank to ensure the availability of water to the people who live here around. In fact, it is considered an honor amongst us to be able to do so.
For most Bishnois, the maintenance of places such as Jambasar is considered an integral part of the faith. Throughout the year, the community gathers at such places to offer service as well as worship in the memory of their Guru. For all of them, and for those who have learned something of their traditions, the success of the Bishnoi in nurturing their harsh environment is more than an accident. In fact, perhaps it's a continuing reminder of the wisdom of archaic traditions in our rapidly changing times.
घाले लीले रोखन घावन घाले आए आए गुरु बतायो ज्ञान गुरु बतायो ज्ञान ज्ञान रे ओ प्रभु चेला समझ कर चाले गुरु बतायो ज्ञान गुरु बतायो ज्ञान ज्ञान गुरु बतायो ज्ञान